Welcome to another episode of Asking 10 Questions, where we're interviewing folks that are big in the car scene to get to know a little more about them. Today we're sitting down with someone big in the YouTube car scene, covering all different automotive topics from getting pulled over by the cops to driving NASCAR stock cars. Being the host of a channel with over 3 million subscribers is no joke. Today we're hopping on a call with Nolan Sykes. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Asking 10 Questions. We're here with Nolan Sykes from Donut Media. Nolan, how's it going?
It's going good. Having a productive Friday. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining. So don't forget Wheel Tire Suspension, FitmentAccessories.com, and then, of course, go check out Donut Media. I'm sure you have already, or go follow Nolan at Nolan J Sykes on Instagram and all that good stuff. So hopping into the first question. What got you interested in cars?
I think I'd have to give it up to, toys as a kid, of course, like Hot Wheels, of course, but also I brought some examples with me. Legos, of course, I think are very instrumental in, inspiring my love for cars, just building them all the time. I built this, but this was a kit. But yeah, just like making weird cars all the time was super, super fun. Big part of my childhood. Also, another example, RC cars as well. This is the only one I have right now, but just like the concept of something that could move under its own power was very, very cool, and definitely sparked a huge interest in cars for me. Also, my dad was, of course, super into and is still into cars right now. He has too many projects that he hasn't finished, so I've unfortunately inherited that gene as well. Luckily here in LA, I don't have the space to have multiple projects going, so I'm saved from that for now.
For only so long. Yeah, that's awesome. Legos was a big thing for me too. Also, like how you're saying, like getting able to build something and do that kind of stuff. Need for Speed Underground was huge for me. That's what got
for sure, yeah.
Modding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, video games were huge too.
Yeah, like Midnight Club 3 was probably my favorite as a kid.
Club 3 Dub Edition on the PSP. I played that quite a bit as well.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, how did you get into Donut Media? How'd you get started?
Yeah, so when I was going to school at CSU Northridge here in LA. I was studying TV production, and we needed to graduate. You needed to do an internship. So, normally a lot of my classmates either interned at like a television, like a network, or like NBC or something, or another like smaller production company. And I was all through college, I'd be in my room watching like That Dude in Blue or regular car reviews, or and thinking like, man, like if these guys can do it, like I want to do it. And so I was like looking at the publications and channels I knew were in LA, like Motor Trend and Donut, which at the time was very small, and they were doing the Ryan Turk GT4586 build, which was like super awesome. So I was like, I want to work with these guys, and I hit up my now current boss. Was like, hey, do you guys do internships? And he's like, we're really busy right now, hit us up in like a month. So like on my phone I like did an exact month to like the hour and like waited 30 days and then emailed him again and just kind of pestered him into giving me an interview or letting me have an interview. And then James was one of the first people I met at Donut. He was one of the people giving the interview there, and I must have said something right. My haircut was certainly not professional in any capacity. It was just really bad, just really horrible style, really bad hair. Just looked like a caveman. But yeah, I got the job or the internship, and then interned for 5 or 6 months, and then that turned into a freelance editing job, which then turned into a full-time writing job. Yeah.
That's super awesome. So it's literally just sometimes you just got to shoot your shot and take that chance, and don't take no for an answer. You got to go for it sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially in terms of shooting your shot. Like like as a kid, you watch like Top Gear and stuff, and you're like, wow, like Clarkson is like the luckiest guy in the world, but then like you realize, you're like, hey, like he's just a guy. All these other people in these big positions are just people, you know? So if they can do it, you can do it too. And I encourage everyone watching to shoot their shot, you know?
Definitely. I love the YouTube car community so much because it's like basically everyone had such humble beginnings, you know, from Mighty Car Mods to That Dude in Blue, regular car reviews, you know, everyone just started out doing it basically because they had an interest in cars. And I think that's so cool how you can grow so much in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like the relatability is such a huge factor in this community as well. What people see you do on screen, they can do in their own garage, which is great. And if they want to translate that to a channel of their own, they could easily do that with, you know, shooting stuff on their phone, starting out really small and then letting their success grow the channel in its own way. And that's super cool.
Definitely. Okay, so from living in your Mustang for a week to being automatic, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about your car?
I think the automatic transmission is definitely my least favorite thing about the car. I think that's a given. Something that's kind of weird about the Mustang, the S197 in particular, is that it's not the easiest car to work on. It wasn't designed or assembled in a way that kind of lends itself to being easily modifiable. I think coilovers are like the only kind of easy thing to do on the car. When I modified it with some lowered springs a few years ago, which I will rectify very soon. You know, I had to take apart the whole kind of like suspension assembly in the front of the car, and it was pretty difficult to do. It's just strange that a car with a heritage like the Mustang, that is known for being a tuner car of sorts, a hot rod, it's built in more of a way that makes it easy to assemble once on an assembly line and not kind of come apart over and over again. So that's kind of my second least favorite thing about the car, besides the transmission. My favorite thing about the car, I think it's still probably one of the best looking Mustangs there's been in a while. It just hits that retro flavor so well. And I think in particular, like the 05s to like I think, was it 2010 or 2011? That was the last year of that style. Maybe it was an 09 actually. Anyway, that the first time they went retro, I think that it just hits it so well. The new ones look great. I'm not going to deny that, but now they're kind of like their own thing, which is awesome. You know, you can't do retro forever. Otherwise it just becomes normal again.
Right.
But I love the way the S197 looks, especially the GT500.
Oh yeah, the GT500 is a beast. And I gotta come clean with you, Nolan. Back in the day, I had a 99 Mustang GT automatic. So
there you go.
I'm right there.
Yeah.
I feel you. I did enjoy the
eventually
car,
yeah, I mean it's a great car, especially for like commuting. When I was going to CSUN, you know, being up in the valley where everything is just like a straight road everywhere is really great. It's great for getting around to where you need to go, but like you definitely lose a lot of that character with the automatic transmission, I think. But eventually I'll either get another one with a manual or swap it or something, but I'll get there eventually, you know.
Yeah, with time. Switch up gears a little bit. What have you learned so far from the series HiLow? Is there some room to cut corners when modding cars, or?
Yeah, that was kind of the main, I wouldn't say failure of the show, but the biggest drawback of the show is that we did not have our own shop space. So we had to rent it from a garage up about 20 or 30 miles from our office that we had to drive to every day. And we only had, for each kind of season, we had the garage for about 2 weeks each time. And so with that limited time frame, we did have to cut some corners with the car. We just didn't have time to like really sort out the issues. And in the end, that's what kind of broke both cars, is that we never diagnosed them or just installed things incorrectly. Like our turbo system on low car, like you could probably make that system work well if you just like switched out the obviously trash components for good stuff and then took your time installing it. But we were in such a big rush and it really bit us. So that's my big lesson from that. I mean, I'm sure everyone watching is diligent and takes their time working on their cars, making sure it's all good to go. But when you're making a video, unfortunately, the realities of production kind of hurt you in that way. Next time around, though, hopefully we will have our own shop space where time will not be as big a factor and we'll be able to do things properly. Although I will say that some of the character of the car does come from the fact that it's so hastily done, but I want to improve on that. I want the cars to be serious. I want them to stand on their own and not fall apart at very inconvenient times.
Yeah, I mean, when you're modifying a new platform, it's always a bit tricky as you're learning the car in and out. And then you put filming on top of that and it gets even trickier. And now you're adding a time constraint and it's just, oh my gosh.
It's very stressful. HiLow is one of my favorite things. I mean, it's one of the best experiences of my life. It was so much fun, but also it was so stressful too. I can't wait to do it again, but it's, after week one, it was like, oh crap, like this is serious again. Like the second time around when we modified the cars even further, like first couple days I was like, oh man, this is so great being back with our friends and being back in the shop. And then like reality sets in, you're like, oh crap, like this is hard.
Yeah. So is there any parts on low car that you think were worth it opposed to high car?
I actually really like the wheels on low car. I think they look better and they perform well. Once we switched out the bottom of the barrel max speeding rod coilovers for the Megan racing coilovers, which were like $500. We got those in the car, and then we really took our time and had the car corner balanced and all that. The car was really on rails, and I think that's what's so cool about the Nissan, in particular the 350Z, is that like with not a lot of money thrown into mods, you can make that thing a really great momentum car, and it's just such a joy to drive. And ironically, if we didn't put the turbocharger on the car, I'd probably still be driving it today. It'd probably be alive still.
For like modability and stuff, it's such a great platform. It's interesting, because rep wheels generally get a bad rep, no pun intended, but they generally nowadays, so much technology and stuff, they'll do the job. Like I don't know if I'd recommend tracking them constantly all the time because they're going to take some wear and tear. They're not as strong as other wheels, but for the most part, they're going to get the job done. So I think that's super cool to hear.
Yeah,
all right.
Of course.
Question number 5. I know you enjoy rallycross. What car platform would you like to see join the ring?
I was looking through the questions and thought I would get clever. Sorry, big old bike goes by my house. I thought I'd get clever and say like, oh, the Dodge Dart, because that's the compact car that I could see being all-wheel drive and having it and seeing it on like a rallycross course. But it turns out that Travis Pastrana actually did drive that probably about 10 years ago now.
Oh, really?
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I was kind of disappointed by that. I thought I'd be clever, but I'm going to stick with Dodge for my second part of this answer. It'd be really, they make the Charger GT, which is all-wheel drive, and I think it'd be hilarious to see something like that on a rallycross course with a bunch of little hatchbacks racing against it.
Oh, next to all those Fiesta STs and Volkswagen Beetles, and then you just have a Charger come slamming around.
Going over tabletop jumps and stuff. I think that'd be hilarious.
That would be cool. All right. You've gotten to work with a lot of vehicles, from 350Zs to getting to check out turbocharged vans even. What car on the show has surprised you the most?
I was surprised by how disappointed I was in the Focus RS when we had it in the office. Okay. I think it was because we had it. Yeah, I know, controversial. We had it kind of shortly after we had a Civic Type R in the office as well, which I love the Type R. The new one, that's probably like top 3 like attainable dream cars for me right now. I think it's such a great car, and I love Hondas already.
Same.
But the Focus just didn't have that same kind of fun factor as the Type R. I thought, like, my buddy had a Focus ST that he had like stage 1 tuned, had like 300 horsepower, and it was just a riot to drive around because it's like it's not a car you'd expect to be doing to spin the front wheels off the line and all that kind of stuff. But the RS with the all-wheel drive kind of loses that for me. It might have just been where we were driving it to. We were still kind of staying within city limits. I'm sure on a canyon road it's probably really great, but I was kind of disappointed.
Gotcha. I mean, the car has a lot of reputation out bold, and I own a Focus ST, and when I made the decision between an ST and RS, it really came down to price point and what you're getting out of the RS compared to the ST. where, you know, like the SD, obviously it's just front wheel drive, it's not all wheel drive, and then you take a little bit of a power loss, but at the end of the day, they're very close. They're very, very similar cars, but there's such a different price range. The RS is a tough one in my books too. Interesting. That's super interesting to hear. I really like the Type R. Those are gorgeous cars. Those are a car I almost feel like, obviously, I think it'll be collectible soon. And then like, you don't need to do much to it. It pretty much comes from the factory and is pretty good to go.
It's really great. The interior is cool. Like that big old chunky like metal shift knob right there is like super cool. They're a great car. Yeah. So
we've been talking about modding cars and all that good stuff. What's your favorite car mod? The one that's equivalent to like enjoying Oreos dipped in a cold glass of milk.
I think like the satisfaction and ease of putting coilovers on a car is like, I think my favorite one to do, just because like it's technical enough to be like mentally engaging, but it's not a huge chore to do either. Yeah. I've done it now on a few different cars, helping like, you know, you can do it with your buddies who've like never worked on their car before, and you just show them how to do it on one side and then they can do it on the other. And that's really cool. And also you'll put it on the car and then the character of the car's automatically changed. Like it just looks different, usually rides a little better, feels better to drive. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. That's one of my favorite mods as well, because most of the time they're easy to install. Sometimes you get some of that Wisconsin rust when you're over here by the Midwest, and they can be from a day to a couple day project. But yeah, like you said, when you get to see your car lowered on coilovers for the first time, it's like something you never forget. You know, it changes how the car looks, and it's crazy just lowering it, and all of a sudden you fall in love with it all over again. That's cool.
It's really cool.
Okay, so these are questions from our subscribers. The last 3 questions.
Oh boy.
Yes. We got Lexus Boy Brian, and he is wondering, why does Nolan drink milk?
So,
dude, there were so many people that asked this. I had to throw it in.
Yeah, okay, we'll address that. The milk thing is kind of funny because like as like a kid and like I don't know, just all through growing up, like I would just regularly have milk like with dinner or whenever, just as like I didn't think it was that weird. And then as I don't know if when I was an intern, but definitely in the donut office, I would like, oh man, it's like 3:15, time for a little break. Go to our little kitchen area and like just pour a glass of milk with some cookies as like I'm freaking Santa Claus or something. And people were like James was like, dude, what? So then that just became a thing. I didn't think it was that weird, but now I kind of see why it is. I actually haven't had milk in a little while. I haven't like casually drank milk in a little while. Put it like I still use milk in cooking and stuff like that, but you know, like just drinking it randomly, I haven't done in a while. And you know, once you stop and you do it again, you're like, oh, this is kind of weird. It doesn't have the same like. It's just,
overthink it.
Yeah, you're like, this is
beautiful long teeth.
A cow. This is from their udders. Yeah, it's just not good. You watch 1 or 2 documentaries on YouTube, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Too. I feel you there, dude. I like milk as much as the next guy. We're in the dairy state. All right.
Oh yeah.
I can't say I've ever brought milk to work to drink. So I think that's where the line gets crossed. I think that's like the difference between enjoying milk and then maybe taking it a bit too far. Maybe that's where the controversy starts.
Being a true milk enthusiast. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Adam Miller asked, what was your bedroom poster car that you idolized as a kid, and do you still idolize and want it?
Oh man, that's a cool question, because I had 2 that I got. I had 2 posters that I got from like a book fair that came to my school. The first one was like a Hummer H2, like this yellow Hummer H2, because like when you and I were growing up, that was like a huge deal, that car.
Oh, I had one on me for ground too. It was one of the first cars I worked my way to get.
Like, I don't know if I'd drive one nowadays. I'd like to drive one around and see what it's like. But so big yellow Hummer H2, and it was like parked at like Arches or something like that. It was like in Utah somewhere. And then the other poster I had was this, it was like a Lotus Elise, but it was like some sort of concept version that didn't have a roof and had like really crazy body work. If I remember, I'll try to find the model and I'll send it to you so you can show a picture of it.
Sure.
But yeah, for a long time I was like, man, the Lotus is like the coolest car ever. But then I went to an autocross a couple years ago and tried to fit in one, and they are not made for guys our size.
No, not for the thick boys. You know what I'm saying? No, I wouldn't fit in
No,
one.
definitely not.
They're cool
They're
cars,
tiny.
and I
Yeah.
wish I could better, but
They're for small British men. Yeah, I could not for big American boys. Yeah.
no freaking American boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's cool. Yeah, the H2. Those are interesting. What a wide variety from Hummer H2 to Lotus concept.
Super weird. Yeah.
Do you still idolize and want those cars though? That's the real question.
I don't think so, man. I think I'd probably drive an H3 over an H2. I still think the H3 is kind of an interesting car.
Yeah.
But a Lotus, I just think I'm too big for a Lotus, you know? Just wasn't meant to be. I still think they're very cool though. Every once in a while you're like, dang, that's a sexy car, but
yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I'd want one.
Cool. So moving on to our last question from Unit B77 wants to know, having become influential over the car community, what is one thing you notice from the top about the community? Is it toxic, friendly, supportive, different in every town?
Yeah, sure. I think the community does tend to get like split up depending on like what kind of car you drive or what you've done to it or whatever. And you know, that's just how we are with a lot of other things, you know, like what kind of music you're into, what kind of clothes you wear, you know, where you're from, all this. But like what's really cool is like everyone really is trying to do the same thing. You know, we all love the joy of like taking your car out that you worked on, that you built, taking it out and showing it to people, hanging out with the people that have the same similar mindsets as you. And you know, it's the car community can be a little elitist sometimes, but for the most part, the people that are kind of toxic online and all that, they're the loud ones. You know, for the most part, most people are pretty cool. And that's what I really like about the donut audience in particular. And I think we share a lot of the same subscribers. So like everyone is like super happy to like just talk about cars and nerd out about them and just share the joy with everyone else. And I think we just got to keep working on spreading that joy and making sure that we're all getting along, because that's what it's all about, you know? It's all about the love of the drive. I
agree. I think that's such a cool part of the car community is this is the first time like we've talked face to face, or video to video, I guess.
Yeah.
And just having one common, you know, interest in cars, we can have a full blown conversation just like we've been talking this entire time. So that's what's so cool about the car community in general and the YouTube car community and all that good stuff. So I think you sum that up pretty perfectly. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just fun, you know. I'm sure eventually we'll meet in person and we'll just get along just fine. Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you so much, Nolan, for joining us. And again, make sure to check out Donut Media, Nolan J. Sykes on Instagram, Wheel Tire Suspension, FitmentIndustries.com. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, be kind. See you next time.